Hey guys, welcome into College SportsCast. I'm Brad, and we are presented by the Fanboys.
You can do it, Brad. I know you can.
I still running on this end. He said, "Can you hear me? I can read lips."
Yeah, we can
Not
read
yet,
lips.
Brad. Yeah, not yet. Yeah, not yet,
Oh
Brad.
no.
Can you hear me, Brad? Can you hear me, Brad?
I love this. This is my favorite.
Wait, waiting on you, Brad. Waiting on you, Brad. Whenever you get ready.
Well, you know what? Let's just go ahead and start this without Brad. If Brad's just going to do this. Welcome to the welcome to the College Sportscast podcast.
Hey, I'm
presented by the
fine,
Fanboys, and Brad is back. Brad, you can keep going. Your show. We're just trying to keep it afloat.
look at here. I told you it would lag every time I have a bunch of people on. It lags.
I just said we'll start making fun of them, but apparently we just waited.
All right, now that I'm back on, so it cuts me off when I run that video, and it doesn't come back on until after the video. And apparently, when I have a bunch of people on, it always lags on. So, anyways, we have a special guest on with us tonight. We have Jason, aka JBR Brady, on Twitter, and he does for March Madness. Hey, Jason, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Doing good. We appreciate you being on with us. It's an exciting time of the year. Everybody's talking about basketball right now, and it's a good time. It's a good time to have you on the show. So we appreciate you being on with us.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Anything that you want to plug? Do you want to plug yourself or any website or anything, for what you do for your bracketology?
No, just my Twitter account, the JBR Bracketology. That's it. Follow me there.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to give you the floor to plug something if you needed to.
All good.
All right.
Nope, just my account.
So, all right, man. I appreciate it. Started right away. We're gonna start out with the top seed lines and kind of work our way down from there. So, Jason, who do you have as the number one ball team so far as of right now in brackets?
As of this moment, I have Alabama, but if you follow me and kind of see, I kind of like to post my team scores from my master spreadsheet that I pull my seed list from. I have Alabama and Kansas basically tied. But right now, I think having Alabama number one overall, given that that's where the committee had them, I think is probably the correct answer, even though it should be Kansas based off their 15 quad one wins, which is insane.
And that's all because of the Big 12, right?
Yes. I mean, pretty much every single game is quad one in the Big 12. Correct.
Right.
Other than a couple
Yeah.
home games
Yeah.
against the bottom teams in that conference. But yeah, 15 is a large number.
Right.
Yeah.
And then-
So you've got Alabama and Kansas as two of them. Who are your other two number one seeds?
And then Houston as the third one, they're kind of the metric darling. You know, they're number one in net, number one in BPI, number one in KenPom, number one in Sagarin. And then they're also top 5 in both KPI and strength of record, which are the two resume metrics. So they do have a strong resume, but their quad one wins are severely lacking. They only have 4 quad one wins. But the committee had them, I believe, number 2 last Saturday. They have not lost since then. So I have them slotted in at number 3, and then kind of hanging on there at the 4 spot is Purdue. Although I wouldn't be surprised if Purdue got jumped by someone else over the next 10 days, 12 days.
Yeah, so I want to ask you about Purdue. Most people looks like they still have in that number one spot, but they had lost 4 out of 6 after the week. So, are they? Do you think they're still going to hold on to that number one spot if they lose first, second round in the Big Ten Conference? Do they hold on to that one spot or no?
I don't think so. I think someone else from the Big 12, either Baylor or Texas, or if one of UCLA or Arizona wins out, which is probably pretty likely. I mean, UCLA and Arizona still play each other. They still play each other in Los Angeles. But I think UCLA has a pretty good shot. And then potentially one of Baylor or Texas. I think it's going to be pretty hard for Kansas to fall out of the one line. I mean, maybe Houston could lose to Memphis. I guess Houston could fall off too, but I would say Purdue is probably the one most likely to fall off, but we will see.
Right.
I do projections, not predictions.
Right.
Who you thought would be jumped? Who you thought Purdue would be jumped by, but you answered that with the with those 4 teams that you kind of threw out there.
Yeah, I mean, those are the 4 on the 2 line. I think Kansas State is just a little bit further back. I mean, they're outside the top 10 in 5 out of the 6 metrics. So to get to the one line, I think would be a pretty big jump for Kansas State, just given where the
UCLA?
numbers are at
Is that
right
one of the
now.
teams?
Yeah, that was one of the ones I
he
mentioned.
that.
I think UCLA has probably the best shot just because they only have 2 home games left. They only have 2 games left. They're both at home versus Arizona and Arizona State. So I mean, if they win both of those and then don't lose in the Pac-12 tournament, which Pac-12 is not a very strong conference, so I think
Arizona
UCLA
and
would
Arizona
probably have
State
the
are
best shot.
they're two of the more
True.
higher teams. Yeah.
Yes, but they do get them both at home this weekend.
Right.
Thursday and Saturday, I believe.
Okay.
Sweet.
Well, so then the rest of the top 16 kind of names some teams there off the 2. So we'll start at the 2 line. Who teams on the 2 line?
So right now I have Baylor at number 5 overall after their win last night, and then UCLA at 6, Arizona at 7, and Texas at 8. I have Arizona and Texas pretty much tied, with kind of a big gap between them up to UCLA, and then a big gap between them down to Kansas State.
All right. Jason, Harrison, do you want to
bad.
throw anything in?
Not bad.
Do you want?
No, I kind of agree of where he's going. I don't think I probably would flip flop like you said. Kansas and Houston, I probably would flip flop them. But at this point, man, he can flip a quarter or whatever what kind of coin you got.
It's just
it
so
it can change at any time because I'm the Kansas. If Kansas could lose to Texas tonight, and then it throws everything in a disarray. But
right. We're talking about what it is right now. As of last night, I don't know if he's threw in anything from tonight or not with his numbers.
Nothing from tonight.
No.
I mean,
this could change next week. Yeah. This could change next week. So
the winner, the regular season winner of the Big 12 is almost guaranteed to be a 1 seed. It would be very surprising if that team was not a 1 seed.
Has to be. Has to be. Just like
So
I can't say the winner of the SEC tournament. But Big 12, exactly. You're exactly right.
Yeah. The
number
three
two team
seeds.
if the number 2 team in the Big 12 wins the tournament, do they jump into the 1 seed, or is it the
That's what
number
he was-
1 team in the overall? That's what I was trying to figure
So,
out.
what I said was the regular season winner will almost certainly be a 1 seed. But yeah, no, the tournament winner could be as well. One thing that I had read from another bracketologist earlier this week, which I thought made a lot of sense, is that even though the committee tends to kind of seed, before Selection Sunday and start placing teams Thursday, Friday into Saturday, it does seem like they wait through the Saturday games to finish placing the 1 line. Like they want that 1 line to fully encapsulate the conference tournaments, at least through Saturday, which I think makes sense.
And there are several teams that or several conferences that play their championship game on Saturday, so it's a lot
Correct.
easier for them to do that.
Including the Big 12.
Right. I know,
And ACC.
like what the SEC
Yeah.
and a few others only they go
Big
all the way to
10.
Sunday.
Big Ten's the last one, always.
Yeah. Right. All right. All right. So we got the top 2. Who is your 3 seeds?
So my 3 seeds coming into tonight, which is definitely going to change with Indiana getting blown out at home here. But 3 seeds coming into tonight were Kansas State, Tennessee, Indiana, and Gonzaga. Indiana was getting a lot of love from the committee 2 Saturdays ago, and I think following it up with that true road win at Purdue is going to keep them at the very least where they were a week ago. I think their 1 loss may have been to Michigan State on the road since the reveal, but adding a true road win at Purdue is about as good of a win as you're going to get.
Right. And those are 3 good teams, I think, on the 3 line. Tennessee had a little struggle, but they've rebounded the last game or 2. Gonzaga win the other night against St. Mary's, so I mean, You can't really, yeah.
The only other one that's close is Marquette, and my team scores, like I said on my spreadsheet, kind of reflect that. Marquette is very close, and I definitely think the committee is going to give them a little bit of extra love if they are the outright conference champion. I think that goes for most power conferences. If you have an outright conference champion, I think the committee is going to respect that a little bit more, even though conference records are not on their team sheets. They don't look at that. However, they're human. They follow the sports.
Yeah.
They follow the sport. They know what's going on. So I think the Big East is well respected. So I think if Marquette is the outright leader in a league that has a true round robin where you play home and away every single team, then I think Marquette's going to go probably a little bit more of a bump than what even I'm giving them right now.
That's fair to say, and Marquette very well could get a 3 seed.
Well, I think that they're going to be a 3 literally right now if I updated, because Indiana's going to get knocked out.
Right, because Indiana's going to get knocked out. Right, yeah.
Right.
So who else you got in there besides Marquette on the 4 line?
So on the 4 line, well, as of today, through yesterday's games.
This morning.
I got Marquette on the top of the 4 line, and then UConn, San Diego State, and Xavier.
Well, Xavier, that's 3 teams in there. You got Marquette, UConn, and Xavier.
That's exactly right. 3 Big East teams on the 4 line.
Yeah.
And then you got the Mountain West leader in San Diego State.
Right. Yeah, San Diego State in the Mountain West, that's kind of been a tough conference, I think. I've kind of preached it all. So, so that would be your top 16. They put out top 16 the other day, so that kind of be your top 16 right there. So we'll go to.
Let me ask you a question.
Seeds.
Oh yeah, I see. 5
go ahead.
Mine, I see coming up 5 through 7. No, 5 through 7. I was just going to ask, where do you see St. Mary's? So I think it's probably going to fall somewhere.
We are. We're going to run through. So I've got seeds 5 through 7 here, and we'll talk about that. So on the 5 line, you messaged me this morning and told me that you had Kentucky on 5 line. Because I'm a Kentucky fan. So
that's why he brought up 5 through 7. But y'all got some insider stuff going on.
Well, so he messaged me this morning, and he knows I'm a Kentucky fan. He said, I got Kentucky on the 5 line. I was like, wow. Anyways, we'll start on the line. Who's your teams on the 5 line?
So I got Virginia, Kentucky, Miami, and St. Mary's on the 5 line.
I have to say Virginia the last couple of weeks has looked not good. Their schedule
Correct.
and everything.
Correct.
But they so they have fallen, which is probably where they need to be. Kentucky has risen.
They're still the top 5 seed.
Yeah, Kentucky has risen, and I think St. Mary's for the season that they've had, they actually tied with Gonzaga for the West Coast. So overall, I'm not sure how that tiebreaker works out. Does Gonzaga actually have the 1, or does St. the 1?
St. Mary's is the 1. The tiebreaker in the WCC is the best net ranking. Well, only because they both had the same loss. They lost to each other, and then they both lost to Loyola Marymount. So then the third tiebreaker went to the net ranking, and St. Mary's was 7, and Gonzaga is 9. So St. Mary's technically gets the 1 seed. So anyone that bet on St. Mary's to win the WCC cashed.
Okay.
Wow.
I didn't know. I wasn't sure how that worked. What team got what in the West Coast? All right. So your seeds.
So my 6 seeds right now, I got TCU, Northwestern, Iowa State, and Maryland.
TCU, Northwestern, Iowa State, and Maryland. All right, and that's on the 6th line.
Correct.
Iowa State. Here's my question about Iowa State. No, they're in the Big 12, and I know that they have lots of quad 1 games. And, that's what they play almost everybody. We said that earlier when we were talking about a Big 12 team. But they have almost fallen off the map. I mean, they're 17-12 after last night.
Yeah, but they're losing quad 1 games. So
how many quad wins does Iowa State have? You've got the numbers right.
8-10. 8-10.
They're 8-10. So they've played 18 quad 1 games.
Yes.
No wonder
they're losing. They're losing a bunch of quad 1 games. So it's not like they're getting. They still go up in the net when they lose those. Apparently,
they've had 11 games outside of quad 1.
Right.
So there's more inside of quad 1 than outside.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. They have 18. Yeah, by a lot. Yeah. I just wanted to bring them up because they have been struggling with. I mean, they're all close losses, about all of them, but they've been compounding some losses. Iowa State has. So I just wanted to bring them up.
They have. Keep in mind that the committee, at least what they say, is that they don't take into account the order of games. So every game, regardless of when it is played, is treated the same. So, their recent slide isn't necessarily taken into account. They were also a 3 seed just 2 Saturdays ago. So I think having them a 6 now, I think they've lost 3 games since then, 1 and 3. I don't have their exact schedule up right now, but they're clearly trending in the wrong direction. That said, they do still have 4 quad 1A wins, and then I also have a note on my sheet here. They have 3 wins over projected teams on the 1 and 2 seed lines, which is pretty impressive.
Right. All right. I just wanted to throw that out there and bring them up because they like I said, they're 17-12.
I mean, if they keep losing,
in the Big 12.
If they keep losing, they will fall. But yeah, there's a very real chance we're going to be sitting here with a team that's 17-14 and like an 8 seed.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah, that's a scary. That's a scary second round game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. All right. So that was the 6. So on 7, who do you have? 7 seed line.
So we have Creighton as the top 7 seed, and then we got 3 SEC teams. We got Arkansas, Missouri, and Texas A&M.
Ooh, I can't argue.
Creighton. I'm pretty. I've been pretty high on Creighton all year. They went through a rough patch. They had an injury. Have come back, played really well. I think in 3 or something. And since the guy who was injured returned, their guard that returned. So I've been pretty high on Creighton. I'm glad to kind of see them, at least get that 7. I really thought they might have a chance for that 6 seed, but they lost this past weekend, so that hurts.
Correct. And I had them on the 5 line, but yeah, they lost on Saturday to I think it was Villanova.
Yeah,
I could be wrong.
Them at home.
Yeah, that's right. That's what it was.
Yeah, so I have them as the top 7 seed now. They do get a little bit of a bump, and I was tweeting about this earlier today. They went 0-3 when their center Kalkbrenner was out, but you still gotta take the resume as it is. I mean, 3-7 quad 1, 5-3 quad 2 isn't really a team representative of the top 5 seed lines.
I agree with
regardless of what the metrics are.
Yeah.
Arkansas and Texas A&M. I think Arkansas is on the rise with Nick Smith being back. Texas A&M, I think, is a really, really good. They're going to be a tough out for anybody, I believe. And Missouri, in my opinion, they're kind of hit or miss. Score 90 on you. You know what I mean? They might score 90 on you offensive wise, and then sometimes they just have an off night and they struggle. So, but I like all those teams.
Missouri has a funny resume. They're number 18 in strength of record, but their net, BPI, KenPom, and Sagarin are all 49th or worse. So basically, every single type of predictive metric says Missouri is not a bad team, but they're a pretty average team. And then their strength of record of number 18 suggests they are an impressive resume team. So you kind of balance out the numbers, and that's kind of how they fall on the 7 or 8 line, depending on whose bracket you're looking at.
I can't even argue with you that one bit, man. I think he hit it. I think he hit it.
Hey, Jason does a great job. That's why I wanted him on the show. So
thank you, appreciate it.
Man,
honestly, he does a great job with his bracketology. If you guys are watching, you don't follow him, JBR Bracketology on Twitter. He does a great job with what he does. So, all right. So the 8 and 9 seed lines, the 2 that are nobody really wants because you're matching up with a 1 seed in the second round, and 8-9 games are pretty tough games. So, who you got on these?
We'll start with the 8 with Duke. Now, Duke is probably going to move up. I didn't actually see the final, but I assume that they held on versus NC State. So I got Duke as the top 8 seed, and then followed by Illinois, Michigan State, and Florida Atlantic.
8 seed line for Florida Atlantic. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I have them at the last spot. It's always tricky to seed a team like that.
Right. Michigan State is another team that I wanted to ask about. It seems like every big game that because we do a game day pick 'em on Thursday nights, and we pick some of the big games over the weekend. It seems like every game that we have about them or tried to pick, they've lost. They're like 17 and 11. It seems that way.
Yeah.
I don't know. What are their metrics? What's their quad 1 and wins and losses?
So they're 6-9 in quad 1. They only have 1 quad 1A win. So they really only have 1 kind of elite win.
I just was wondering.
And then
we picked them up, and it seems like they lose every time.
Yeah, they
I know
also
they're
have
17
a
and
quad
11.
3 loss to Notre Dame.
Okay. I just wanted to ask about them when we got to them. All right, so your
Yeah,
9 seed line.
Their metrics are pretty good. I mean, Michigan State's metrics are pretty good. They're also very consistent. Every single metric of theirs is between number 24 and 37. So that's not a very large range when you're looking at 6 different metrics. When, like I talked about Missouri a moment ago, that has metrics that are 40 spots apart.
49. Yeah.
And Michigan State has all 6 within
Right.
13. So they have pretty consistent numbers across the board. Their resume metrics, if you average them together, they're 32 and 24, so the average is 28 with a net of 32. And then their predictives are an average of 31, and I have them exactly at number 31.
Okay.
So
I mean, I just wanted to ask because we do a game day pick 'em, and I'm not kidding. Every time we've done them, they've lost. And
yeah,
I'm like, gosh,
I'm looking.
it just seems like every time they have a big game.
I'm curious now. I'm gonna look up how many losses they have in Quad 1A because I do think it's a lot. Yeah, they're 1-7 in Quad 1A. So every time you're pretty much right. Every time they've had a big game, they've lost.
I'm telling you, like we do the big games of the week, and do a game
Picking
day
against them the next time they're in a big game.
I'm serious. Every time they lose, it seems like. I'm not playing at all. It's crazy. Yeah. All right. So 9 seeds. Who do you have on the 9 seed line?
So I have Memphis, Providence, West Virginia, and Iowa.
Memphis is interesting, I think, in that spot. I'm glad to see them in. I think Memphis deserves to be in. So I think
Memphis is top 27 in both KPI and strength of record, which are very impressive numbers.
I mean,
more impressive than you'd expect.
Memphis is a dangerous team. I think Memphis is a dangerous team come the NCAA tournament time. I think they play an up-tempo type game, and I think Penny Hardaway has some good size and athleticism. Depending on the matchup, man, I wouldn't want to see Memphis. I'm just gonna say that he got a little scoring guard. He's been out.
I mean, he's got him at a 9, so that 8-9 matchup. Yeah.
Yeah, that's man, that's accurate. That is accurate.
And then
what was the 34?
Yeah,
what was the 35?
What was the 35?
Yeah, who was that? 35.
West Virginia.
Okay.
He said.
And then Iowa.
Virginia. Now
Iowa just made themselves.
Now, my question about if West Virginia had not pulled out that game last night, would they be in the field? Would West Virginia still be in the field? If
I think they'd be in, but they would probably be close to the last 4 in. I mean, you win a true road game against a net top 30 team, Quad 1A. That's a nice feather in your cap on your resume. There's not that many true road wins against net top 30 teams. So to have that on your resume is pretty significant. So yeah,
they were behind most of that game. Yeah, they were behind most of that game and pulled it out.
Yep,
the last
I bet on Iowa State.
Yeah. So I just was wondering because, they were 16 and 13 before last night. Getting that Iowa State last night was big for them. I think that as of right now, today, kind of solidifies their spot. And if they had lost,
now, keep in mind they played Monday, so that's before anyone else this week played. So, like for example, I have Iowa behind them. Iowa just won, so Iowa's immediately going to pass them. If USC beats Arizona later this week, USC is going to pass them. If Auburn beats
anybody,
I'm not sure who Auburn. Whoever
Alabama tomorrow, Tennessee on Saturday. Alabama tomorrow, Tennessee on Saturday.
Okay, right. So obviously, if Auburn beats Alabama, then Auburn's going to pass them too. So yes, they are currently the 9 seed, but it wouldn't shock me if by Friday's update they fall to a 10. Not because they did anything wrong, but just because some of the teams right behind them picked up big wins.
Right. So your 10 seeds, then you can go ahead and list those, and and then we'll kind of get to your last
Sure. So I have
teams
USC.
and stuff.
Yep, USC, Auburn, Rutgers, and Boise State.
All right. Boise State lost a big game over the weekend as well.
Yes, they did. That was unfortunate.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought Boise State might – before the last week, I thought they might have a little higher seed. So John Roberts, he's an Auburn guy, so I'm going to let you ask a question, too, about Auburn if you want.
I mean, look, I have no problem with them being a 10 seed. They haven't played and shown anything to be deserving anything higher than that. I'm still just trying to figure out if they lose out the season, do they fall out of the tournament?
Yeah, if they lose to Alabama and Tennessee, that's what he's asking.
Yeah,
so. It depends on a few different things. One, how much do you lose by? Do you lose by 5 or do you lose by 30? We just saw Auburn lose by 30. That's not something you want to make a habit of. And then 2, it just depends on what the other teams do on the bubble. Now, on the flip side, I also tweeted out yesterday that if Auburn wins tomorrow, that there'll be a lock. So, I mean, it's
right.
It really could go either way. I mean, with only 2 games left, you add a win over the number 1 overall seed, then you're probably safe.
Right.
Which, I mean, that's just, I don't know. I mean, they're so bad at shooting, and that's what's
where is that game,
shoot.
John?
I believe that game is in Coleman. I think they already played the game.
Is it at home?
I think it's at Alabama.
Yeah, I think it's in
Coleman.
Coleman.
Is it at Alabama?
I think it's in Coleman Coliseum. Okay. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because I think they already lost the game at home against Alabama, which I think they lost by like 9, and I think it started slipping from them late in the game, and they were able to get a late layup to get it inside the single digits, but it was the fouling at the end of the game where they were trying to stop the clock. I mean, Alabama was hitting the free throws, so it went from being a 4-point game for most of the game to being a 10, 11-point game right at the end, and then a late layup with no time on the clock that cut it to 9. It was a 9-point loss. They had a 3-point loss at Tennessee with a very questionable no call on the last shot. That was about
I think they can beat Tennessee at home on Saturday. I'm not so sure about beating out.
They can. Yes. Correct. Yeah. That's going to be one where Alabama would have to just absolutely just vomit all over themselves, and they would have to Alabama would have to be very uncharacteristic, play like they played at Oklahoma, and maybe even worse than that.
Mississippi State.
I mean, you're talking about a team that can't, and Auburn would have to just absolutely light it up shooting. And that's something that they can't really do at home. So I'm not really going to expect them to do it on the road. If they can't do it at home, it's hard to do it on the road, especially in the hangar. I mean, I bet depth perception is very, very bad in the hangar. So I would think that's a hard place to shoot, and that. Alabama,
JVR,
the home team.
So we call Alabama's home stadium the airplane hangar.
It's the hangar.
Okay, I did not know that.
Yeah,
it's the airplane hangar.
I mean, just go. I mean, just look at it, and I mean, you'll understand why.
That's what he's talking about. They play in an airplane hangar.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Yep. All right. So USC is in that bunch on the 10 line, and they did win over the weekend and had a good win for them to kind of give them a little bit of breathing room to finish this last week.
Yep. Yeah, they won on the road, I believe, at Utah on Saturday, which is barely a quad one win. But yes, it gives them a nice cushion from the bubble for now. But just like UCLA, they have both Arizona and Arizona State Thursday and Saturday at home as well, just flipped in order.
So they
Yeah, that's
are they the
big.
is USC at 37 because they have a win against Auburn versus Auburn being the 37?
Correct. I have them basically tied in my sheet. And yes, I do know that USC beat Auburn head to head.
The head to head. Yeah.
But I mean, the other thing that really helps USC is they have the win over UCLA. You know, I give kind of bonus points, if you will, to teams that have wins over top 2 seeds. Those are those elite wins that the committee is looking for.
Right.
Right. Yep. All right. So on the 11 seed line and kind of your last teams in, who do you have as your last 4 teams in, I guess?
So, well, it's the last 6. They're all on the 11 line together, but it's Mississippi State, Nevada,
6.
Pittsburgh, North Carolina State, Arizona State, and Utah State.
All right. Arizona State got the
Nevada,
huge win over the weekend with the over half court shot against Arizona. So that helped them get in that last 4. And Arizona is one of those elite wins that you were talking about. So
exactly right.
I know
and it was on the road, which the committee really seemed to respect.
Yes. Right. It was on the road. So yeah, that was a huge win for them to kind of get them in that spot. And I'll be honest with you, a week or 2 ago, I thought there was a chance the Pac-12 may only get 2 teams in, and that still could happen. I mean, we'll see what happens this last in the conference tournament.
With Arizona State and USC still playing each other, probably whoever wins that has a pretty good shot at a bid, I would say.
Right. So, yeah, I think right now it's probably definitely 3 teams get in out of the Pac-12, and it could be 4. I think those 2 are the other teams. And Utah's being in out of the Mountain West. I like to see that. It's very interesting to me that in your last 4, you have Pittsburgh, who is tied for first in the ACC. And then you in North Carolina State, who is before tonight. Now they've lost to Duke, I think, tonight. But before tonight,
NC State will stay. I'm just looking at the team scores now. They had a pretty good cushion from the bubble, or from the cut line, I guess you could say, heading into tonight. So a quad 1 road win isn't going to drop them far enough to completely drop out, but it's possible that by Friday enough other teams win and pass them.
Right. Yeah.
Now Mississippi State, if they lose tonight against South Carolina, are they dead?
Don't lose to South Carolina.
Now's not a good time to be adding quad 4 losses. But it's just.
Yeah, this is not a good time of year to be adding quad 4 losses to your resume.
Gotcha. I was just making sure that if they would be dead if they lost this game.
I mean, I don't want to say
they did just almost beat Alabama.
Severely hurt.
Yeah, but almost doesn't really do a whole lot.
68-66. Brandon Miller had to hit a shot to beat them.
Mississippi State I have as 5 wins over the field, which is that's a solid number. 2 of them away from home, 1 neutral, 1 road.
Right. Nevada,
another good team,
lost last night, and they're in your bottom 6 there. So
yeah, and if they had won that, they would have been pretty much a lock, if not a lock. But yeah, they dropped it. There was a quad 3 loss last night. I think that they have 1 more quad 3 game remaining at home versus UNLV, which is pretty much a must win. If they lose that, they're going to fall out for sure.
All right. So who's your first 4 out?
So my first 4 out right now, I have Michigan, Wisconsin, North Carolina, and Oklahoma State.
That's 4 pretty big names, actually.
It is.
to be out, of the NCAA tournament. Michigan, North Carolina, there's some Wisconsin, there's some pretty big names in there. So,
Right.
I agree with you on a couple of those. I know North Carolina has won a couple of games in the last week and are one of those against Virginia, which is was a quad one win.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if Virginia's still a quad one win. I'm
They
not
are
sure. Are they still
barely.
up
They're number 28, so barely quad one, but yes.
there? Okay. Virginia was to up this week. It might still not be a quad one win, right?
Correct. And if that happens, yeah, North Carolina's score in my sheet would go down slightly. It's not a huge deal, but when you go when that happens and you have 0 left, then that's not so good.
Yeah. Right. I know Virginia has to be close on that line. Next 2 teams after your first 4, I want to ask Charleston, College of Charleston, and New Mexico. Those 2 teams for sure I wanted to ask about. What's the chances that those teams can win enough games remaining to get in? I mean, College of Charleston just has their conference tournament, so
Charleston, I believe that there is no shot, unfortunately. I don't believe that they can suffer a loss and still get in. I mean, they have no quad 1 wins. They only have 2 quad 2 wins. They haven't even played a game against a tournament team, and they have a strength of schedule of 337 out of 363 teams. I just can't imagine them getting an at-large. Like, the committee would really have to be throwing them a bone, because the only way that they would get an at-large is losing in their conference tournament.
Right. Yeah, and they're 28-3, guys. The reason why I'm asking about them, College of Charleston has had a great year.
It wouldn't shock me, right? If they lose in their conference tournament championship to, I'm trying to think who's the best team, if it's Hofstra or Hofstra. I mean, would it shock me if the committee, said, hey, they're 30-4, like, let's just throw them in the last 4? And no, it wouldn't shock me. The numbers don't support it.
The play-in game,
but it wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, I mean,
I won't have them there.
Game or something.
I won't have them there, but it wouldn't shock me if they did that.
Right. New Mexico. Get to New Mexico, because New Mexico was like 18-1 or I don't know, 16-1 or something there, 18-3. I know at one time, and lost like 3 straight games by like two points or less or something. I mean, it's crazy.
They had I don't know if you're watching Saturday. I don't know if you're watching Saturday night. They got correct. Yeah. No, San Diego State hit a buzzer beater against them Saturday night, which was crushing, because if that had happened, they would be right on the cut line. But losing that game, I don't know. I don't want to say they don't have a chance, because I do think that they have a chance, but it's going to be hard. It's going to be an uphill battle. They do have 2 really good true road wins at San Diego State and St. Mary's that no one else really on the bubble is going to have 2 wins as good as those 2. But they got to get close enough for it to matter.
Do you know what games they have left?
I would have to look. I have not memorized that one.
All right.
One second.
I just thought I'd ask.
Let's see. They have home to Fresno State and at Colorado State. So those are
games they should win. Yeah.
Correct.
I mean,
but
I'm not saying they will, but they should.
It's not going to move the needle.
Yeah. So
the Fresno State's quad 4. Yeah, Fresno State's quad 4 at Colorado State is quad 2.
So they'll have to do something in the conference tournament.
Yes.
Probably.
But the problem
to
is
make a run to
it's
get in.
unclear how much the committee is really going to take into account the conference tournaments. I mean, we saw Texas A&M, who clearly
Right.
should have been in after advancing to the SEC tournament championship last year. I mean, every metric I come across when I'm comparing my spreadsheet this year to results and metrics from past years, I'm like, how in the world did Texas A&M not get in? Well, it's because
I don't know.
two of their best wins of the year came in the SEC tournament, and the committee had already set the field Saturday morning.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I agree with Ed, but Texas A&M got hosed last year. I think their metrics were definitely good enough for the NCAA tournament this year, I think. All right. So
Yeah, that was my one miss was Texas A&M. I had them in the field. I still believe that they should have been in the field, but
all right. So I'm going to run through just a few conferences and some teams. So the AAC, you've got Houston and Memphis in the field. Tulane and Cincinnati, do either one of them are 20, close to 20 wins? Tulane is, I think, and Cincinnati's like 17 or 18. Do either one of them have a shot of the end of the field besides conference tournament?
they're way
No.
too far back. I mean, Cincinnati is 0-6 against the field, and they have their resume metrics are 90 and 76. I mean, they're just
Right.
way too
And
far
I
back.
haven't looked up their metrics or nothing. These are some teams I was looking at
No,
records, and
no,
I just wanted to throw
no one
out
else in the American.
North Texas out of the Conference USA was interesting. A week ago, they had a loss. I thought they still had a shot. Now I'm not, because they had a loss
Right.
last week, and I'm not sure. Do they still have a chance or no?
No, they were done. They had to win out in the regular season. Once they lost again, it was over, unfortunately, which was sad. I was rooting for them.
And then the other one in the Conference USA that's coming on is UAB. They played without Jelly
Right.
Walker for a little while. They come up with some losses when they played without Walker, and he's come back and they've been hot. They're 22-8. They're one game behind North Texas, I think, in the conference overall record anyway. Do they have an outside shot, or is it just conference?
They do not have an
win
outside.
and
Yeah, it's only conference tournament, but I think they've got a really good shot to win the conference tournament.
Yeah,
That's the only way in for them.
That's the only way in. Yeah, Conference USA is actually a very good mid-major conference, but unfortunately, none of the teams outside of Florida Atlantic really did well enough in the non-conference to justify an at-large bid.
Right.
I just wanted to throw it out there. John lives in Birmingham. He lives really close to UAB campus and stuff. And
I saw them play North Texas. So
yeah, he goes
So-
goes to games once in a while and stuff. So and Adam Kennedy is a great. I just kind of wanted to throw that in there with UAB. The middle. Do you have Toledo or Kent State winning and going to the conference or going to the tournament?
So it looks like right now Toledo is leading the conference because I have them marked as the auto bid.
They are. They're one
but
game
besides
ahead.
that, I don't.
14-2.
Yeah, but besides that, I don't have any thoughts on who's going to win the
No, I was wondering
Mid-American
who
Conference
you
tournament.
had. Yeah, who you had on that one. One other conference I wanted to bring up, they have 5 20-win teams, and that's the Missouri Valley Conference. There's 5 20-win teams in the Missouri Valley. I thought when I was doing a bit of research for the show was kind of interesting. Bradley and Drake are the top 2 teams, and a lot of people have had either one are sometimes you see Drake and sometimes you see Bradley. Just depends on, because I think they're like one game from each other.
Both of those teams are very good, and they are going to be a trendy 12-5 pick, assuming one of them wins the Missouri Valley Conference. But neither one has any shot at an at-large bid.
Okay, I just wanted to ask because both good teams, and like you said, I think they do have a shot
Yes.
at a 12.
No, they are both. You are absolutely correct. They are both very good teams, but the numbers and metrics do not support an at-large bid.
Right. All right. So the Sun Belt. I wanted to bring up. There are 3 teams in the Sun Belt with 20 wins. Southern Miss, Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns, and Marshall, who are all 23-plus wins on the season. And there's 4 20-win teams, and there's 2 other teams in that conference with 19 wins in the Sun Belt.
Yeah, no, Sun Belt is also a good league. I've been following Southern Miss. I think Southern Miss has been really strong from start to finish. They've had a great year.
Yeah.
Hey, shout out to Coach Doc's the coach over there, man. Coach Ladden over there, man. He real good coach, man. I've been knowing him for a long, long time. So he's really turned that program around, especially this year.
Yeah, they've had a great season, Jason. I that's one of the teams I wanted to bring up and mention. And then out of the West Coast Conference, does Santa Clara or Loyola Marymount have any chance at all or no? Because they have some wins.
They're just too far. They're just too far back. I mean, at this point, if you're not one of the first 8 to 10 teams out, you just run out of time. Because you got to remember.
I don't know the full resume, okay, but know that they have a couple good wins. Loyola Marymount has some good wins. But
they do, but
they must have some really bad losses. I don't know.
Well, I mean, for starters, Loyola Marymount is 101 in net, which would be by far the worst net to ever receive an at-large bid. They've got their 2 resume metrics are 76 and 96, which, I mean, you kind of need to be top 50 at worst, top 60. So they're really not. They're really not that close. Santa Clara is the closest, but Santa Clara doesn't have any. Santa Clara doesn't have the win over St. Mary's or Gonzaga the way Loyola Marymount does.
Where's Sam Houston State out of the WAC? Are they anywhere near 60 in the metrics?
Let me see. Got to switch conferences here. Sam Houston has a pretty good resume. Whoever comes out of the WAC is going to be a really good team. By the way, that is a very very underrated mid-major, and I think doesn't get talked about as much just because it's one a mid-major, but 2 on the West Coast. I feel like the West Coast teams just never get as much national coverage, but that's a really good league. Sam Houston is 62 in net, 55 in strength of record, 45 in BPI, and 71 in KenPom. So they have some pretty solid numbers for sure.
Yeah, they're close. You know what I mean? Their numbers are close that you could talk about them.
They're close, but every team in the WAC has I'm looking at it now. Every team in the WAC has at least 1 quad 3 loss and at least 1 quad 4 loss. Sam Houston does have 2 quad 1 wins, which is pretty impressive, but they don't have any quad 2 wins. I mean, their combined quad 1 and 2 record is 2 and 4, which is not very good.
Right.
Not good enough for at-large consideration. Right. But again, I mean, if you get Sam Houston or Utah Valley as a 12 seed, I mean, that's going to be a very good 12 seed or even the top 13 seed, depending on how it shakes out.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I think those are, 2 teams that's probably going to win it would be Utah Valley or Sam Houston State, unlikely out of the WAC. All right, John Roberts, you get other teams or questions or anything to ask Jason about on the bracketology side?
No, not really. I mean, I think we covered most of everything that I had here, especially when we finally got down to Auburn. I knew it was going to be low, and just the biggest question that I had was just more, if they lose out, do they get in? And that's kind
It's
of
going to be close. It's one of those things where it's hard to say definitively because it really just depends on what other teams around them do as well. But I certainly cannot guarantee you that they will be in if they lose both.
right. But almost assuredly, if they beat Alabama, they are a
Yeah.
lock. At that
I
point,
tweeted out yesterday. I said if Auburn beats Alabama, they will be a lock, and I feel confident in that. I mean, they'll go from a 10 seed to probably close to an 8. I mean, you had a true road win over a number 1 seed. You were going to shoot up the rankings.
Right, but I feel just as confident that they will not win that game.
That is up to them.
I think
That is up
I
to
think
them.
they have a better
If they
chance
can
against
shoot-
Tennessee.
Yes, I do think they have a better chance against Tennessee.
If they beat Tennessee, I think they'll be in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
Hey, Tennessee just lost their point guard. They just lost their point guard midway
They
through
did?
the first. The point guard.
Yeah,
I saw that he was.
Someone
he was
texted
down.
me.
Ziegler or
A
what?
Texas A&M fan texted me. It was like, "Is this going to hurt our win?"
Man.
That's how they get screwed this year. Is that the Tennessee point guard goes down and their
Well, it looks,
their win
well, it
is
looks
not
like
as good.
Tennessee's still up by 9.
Well,
Right. I haven't looked at the scores tonight. I did notice that Duke was leading Carolina State before we got on. I haven't looked at scores lately since we've been on. I guess Duke won.
So Duke held on to NC State, so that should bump them up probably to a 7 seed. NC State's still in the field, but remaining last 4 in. Virginia beat Clemson, so at this point, I think Clemson is probably eliminated from an at-large.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy how the peaks and valleys of a season, man.
That loss to
Clemson
Louisville
lost
was a
to
killer.
Louisville. Yeah. I
You
mean,
can't
they
lose
lost
to
to
Louisville.
Louisville.
don't lose to
I
a team
mean,
that's that bad with like 3 wins.
Yeah, I mean, if Clemson didn't have that loss, they would probably be in the field. Don't you think?
I would say they'd be very close.
Yeah.
What if Michigan State goes on and loses to Nebraska? I know that they were really low on your. I think they were.
Yeah, so I have Michigan State as an 8 seed, but they are quite a bit ahead of Florida Atlantic. So
yeah, never mind.
Well, I mean,
they
would
were
still
further down.
Yes, I have them as an 8 seed. Let's see. Oh, you also got to factor in where the game is. The game's at Nebraska, so that's obviously different than home versus Nebraska. So
correct.
If they lost to Nebraska, my guess is that it would drop them to the 9 line, but probably stay pretty high up on the 9 seed line. It's losing at Nebraska is not as bad of a loss as it may have been in some previous years. I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Well, a couple of other Big Ten schools that people are still talking about. I still hear people talking about Penn State. Do they really have a shot? They're like almost dead last in the Big Ten. They're like 13.
They have a shot. They have a shot. I mean, they're going to have to. They have to win their last 2. They have to. Well, I mean, hold on. Let me. They're like 8 and 10 in the Big Ten. They're 8. Well, to be fair, everyone in the Big Ten is like plus or minus 2 games from 500. It's kind of funny, but yeah, they're 8 and 10 in the Big Ten.
I agree with that. They are
losing. I don't know if you're watching that game Sunday night against Rutgers. I mean, they were up by 20 in the second half and just totally blew it down the stretch. But they got 2 games left. They got at Northwestern tomorrow night, and then home versus Maryland in the finale on Sunday. If they win both of those, I think they'll be close. I don't know they would be in even with those 2 wins, though, because some of the teams in front of them are going to win their games as well.
Right. That was one team that people are still talking about, and I'm like, I mean, they're so far down in the Big Ten.
Yeah,
It's like,
I'm not buying them as much as some other people are. I mean, they only have one like really good win, which is at Illinois. But I mean that's their best win. Their second best win is home to Indiana.
right.
But
And
that's
the Big
that's
East,
just not
the
quite
Big
enough
East
for
is
me.
basically those five, right? Like Villanova, Seton Hall, they don't really have a
I think they're
shot, do
too.
they?
I think they're too far back. I saw some discussion today about kind of bubble games going on tonight, and the Villanova Seton Hall matchup was mentioned. But looking at both their resumes and then looking at the two games each of them have left, including against each other, I don't think either one can get there. I think they're too far back.
That's what I think too. That's what that's where I'm leaning with those as well. And you answered my take on Clemson because you said they lost tonight. Is that right? Yeah, Virginia
Yeah,
beat them.
they lost to Virginia, so they are in effect eliminated, in my opinion.
Yeah. Wake,
They
does
needed to
Wake
win
out
that.
of the ACC still have a chance or no? Wake
No, they
Forest.
lost to They lost to Boston. They lost to Boston College tonight. They're done.
Oh, seriously, I haven't seen the scores.
Yeah.
They did. I
tonight,
saw the final.
They lost
they
by
lost
2,
by, like,
so they are eliminated. That one I
Wow.
feel
Okay.
confident about.
I won't even. If I'd have known that, I wouldn't even have mentioned it. But I didn't see the scores tonight because Wake Forest was so far down. They can't lose to Boston College. I mean, Clemson losing to
No.
Virginia is one thing, but losing to Boston College is something totally else. All right, so I think those are kind of the big ones that I wanted to mention. There's nobody else in the SEC. Wisconsin is a team everybody seems to still have in, and they're far down the list in the Big Ten, but everybody still seems to have them in. So I think that's it. Is there anything else, Jason, that you wanted to bring up?
No, man. Like I said, I think he does a remarkable job. He's spot on. I thought I might have had some questions for him.
Sure.
But no. I was just I wanted someone to say UNC was not in.
They are not in.
Yeah, I wanted someone to say that. Yeah, and it's gonna be hard.
I'm not even sure that a win over Duke would get them in. I think it would. I think it would get them very close, but I don't know that would be enough.
Especially this year. And he says about Florida Atlantic. He mentioned Florida Atlantic. I know that coach down there, Dusty. He's probably gonna be up for the Ole Miss job as well. Man, he was spot on with everything he said. The right amount of teams from the SEC, what I thought. So, hey, I'm following you. I'm following you now. So, hey, I can pick up another following.
Anybody that is watching the show, or if you're not following JBR Bracketology, that is who is on with us. He does a great job with his bracketology. He does a great job with his tweets and sending out information. And if you great follow, especially this time of year, I have to say he's one of my follows for bracketology and March Madness stuff. So I appreciate you being on with us, and I want to thank you for being on with us. It's a privilege to have you come on our show and do this. We're less than a couple of weeks from Selection Sunday.
Yeah.
So we're kind of getting down to it. There's not a whole lot left. 1 week, and conference tournaments for the Power Six. So we appreciate you being on with us, Jason.
Sure.
I got one last question. You got Baltimore Orioles picture, I guess, in your Twitter thing. So I would assume you're an Orioles fan, but are you from that area?
Yes. Yeah, I live in
Okay.
Maryland. You can
Okay.
see
Gotcha. Yeah.
state.
Yeah, it
Yep.
is definitely Maryland. Yeah. Okay, got it.
Yep.
Just making sure.
Look, you don't went mute again, Brad.
Yeah, we lost Brad here.
He's having a whole
Yeah,
conversation.
he's a Terp fan, by the way. I do know that from
Yeah.
following him.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's definitely a Terp fan. We
Yeah.
haven't discussed that, but I do know that he's Maryland.
You know,
Yes,
we
I
were
went to
following-
Maryland. I'm a Maryland alum.
Yeah, we were following Maryland baseball this past weekend.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't follow
John-
the baseball program as closely as the basketball program.
Yeah.
Yeah. So John is a big baseball fan, so that's why he's asking you Orioles and baseball stuff. Get you being on. We'll say goodnight to you, and then we'll wrap the show up. You leave, but we appreciate you being on with us.
Okay. Sure. Thanks for having me.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Have a good night. All right, guys. Show the bracketology.
He was spot on, man. He was spot
Are you two?
on.
Y'all looking down. Y'all on your phones or something, bug.
We were checking scores. I was checking
Yeah,
scores, making sure
yeah.
that everything was as I expected it to be. You know, I was checking on a few of those basketball scores when we were when you started asking about the Duke NC State game. Checked on a few basketball scores, and then I checked on a few of the baseball scores. Kind of the things that
How in the world did Iowa
I think
beat
the
Indiana?
11.7 podcast had like by a lot.
About 20.
Yeah, like
Just took it to
so
them.
to at
Yes.
home in Bloomington.
Just they shot the ball with him, man. Trying to extend their season past the conference season, past the conference tournament.
That's a score, 90-68 in Bloomington.
Yeah, I was surprised, but I caught a little bit of it. They were shooting the lights out.
Mm-mm-mm.
All right, guys. So
I really wish I could.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was saying I really wish I could see the Texas LSU baseball game, but it's on the Longhorn Network, and you know, of course, Texas has to be prima donnas and have their own network that they don't want to share with anybody. But maybe they'll share it when they come into the SEC, and they will absolve
It'll be
that
on
because
SEC
that is
Network.
dumb. Yeah, at that point, it should be SEC Network Plus, and I ought to be able to watch it because that is terrible that I can't.
You can't get on the Fire Stick. You can't get on the Fire Stick either.
I don't have a Fire Stick.
Oh, I thought you had a Fire Stick. Well,
No,
Yeah.
I got Apple TV. I got Apple TV, and I'm going through the ESPN app, and I just don't have the Longhorn. I don't pay for the Longhorn Network, so
that's why I said you gotta get. I'm gonna have to send you a Fire Stick, man. I'm gonna have to put one up and get you a Fire Stick.
All right,
so
guys.
it's free on the Fire. Like if I have the Fire Stick, I can see it.
Yeah, you gotta just. My mother-in-law, man, she jailbreaks them all the time, man.
I'm about to go figure out if
you don't
I
need
do
the
have a Fire
Longhorn
Stick that's hidden away
Network. It's
somewhere.
going to be defunct in a year.
Well, man,
Yeah,
he
but
want
until
to
then-
see what he want to see what he want to see.
Until then,
It's going to be defunct. It's going to be gone. Adios.
yeah, but they still have the entire 2023, 2024
Yeah, they gonna have it for
calendar.
next year.
Like
I know. I'm just messing with
I'm
you.
gonna watch that stuff. Now that I know, I'm gonna go find it because
All right.
we bought a Fire Stick to go on the road with us when we go to like hotels and whatnot. So
Man, I never thought
dig it
about
up.
that. Man, you are exactly right.
Yeah.
I don't know why I never. All you gotta
Yep.
do is listen. All you gotta do is listen. Yeah.
That's a good move.
Yeah, so
That's
I
great.
may go find it and put it in this TV right here. That way, when I am, but see, I can't add it and make it like one of my quad screens. I have to be all in
Yeah, that's
on that
the, yeah,
one.
yeah, that's,
Right.
yeah, that's,
Yeah.
that's the only thing.
Yeah.
I got to figure out how to hook it up to the laptop. That's what whenever I get credit.
Yes, but I'm on the laptop right now, so I can't
That's
do
cool.
that. Well, I mean, I guess I could. It just
Yeah, I'm on. I have
Yeah.
I'd
another
just be
laptop.
watching
But
it,
I know
and
exactly
you'd
what you
think that
said.
I'm looking at the camera, but I'm like, uh-huh.
No, yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Interesting.
All right, y'all killing me over here.
Oh man.
All right, so our 2023 nonprofit organization for the fanboys is Home for Our Troops. They've been doing this for over 20 years. They build homes for injured and wounded veterans. For every dollar that you give, 90 cents of that dollar goes towards building homes, rebuilding lives for these injured veterans. They will build them a home anywhere. So please go to www.hfotusa.org to give. All right. Thursday night, as long as I'm going to check, but as long as he's not still sick, we were supposed to on Sunday and have our mock draft special. We have rescheduled it for Thursday night. So I do want to put that up in our show. Thursday night is supposed to be our 2-round mock draft show with a mock draft YouTube guy, and he does a great job. We fully enjoy him being on with us. We hope he is better. I'll check with him maybe tonight or in the morning and see how he is. And hopefully he'll be on with us Thursday night at 8 o'clock. And we will do our 2-round NFL mock draft show and tell you where all the top athletes from college football are going to land in the NFL draft in April. All right, guys. Y'all got anything else to add?
Nope.
That's it, man.
We appreciate you guys being on with us and following with our Bracketology show. We appreciate JBR Bracketology for coming on and doing this show with us tonight. And we will see you guys down the road. We'll see you on Sunday. We'll see you on Thursday.
Come on, Brad. Come on, Brad.
We'll see you on a day that ends in Y. Okay, that's the day we'll see you. We'll see you then, or see you later.
Thursday with draft show.
Gotcha.
Y'all have a good night.